So it feels like in the last week or so, things have reached a boiling point with regards to how we're feeling about the state of Counter-Strike 2. We're riding the wave of hype after the first major, things are at an all-time high in terms of interest around the game, so more people are jumping in more than ever, but there seems to be one consistent problem, and that's that the state of actually playing the game may be the worst it's ever been, whether that's the consistent issues around cheating, competitive and Premier having structural problems. People are more frustrated than they've ever been with the state of Counter-Strike. And unfortunately, the reality is that Valve is a company that tends to not say anything and then just randomly drop updates that can change how the game is played forever. We don't get constant communication. We don't get ideas of whether they're working on these issues or not, and that allows frustration to continue to build till it reaches the tipping point. And now we have some of the biggest YouTubers in the space like WarOwl and Anomaly adding to their voice that they don't even want to touch competitive or Premier until things are changed in some way. You have players like Simple also expressing that issue directly. And it all comes back to one thing. What can we do to make the competitive experience enjoyable for everybody in CS2? And it's something I've definitely put a lot of thought into. I think there's a lot more nuance to what's going on. It's not as simple as just fix the anti-cheat, get rid of the cheaters. There are more structural issues with the game that need to be addressed for long-term enjoyment, long-term fulfillment, with a game that's going to be around for around a decade if we have CSGO as any kind of basis to go off of. And that's not to diminish the issue with cheating at hand. I'm not trying to downplay or undermine people's feelings here. Cheating is a pervasive issue. However, it's an eternal issue. It's an issue that's very hard to solve and really will never be truly solved. And the hardest part as a consumer is that Valve are incentivized to not speak on this issue. You see, hacking is a two-player game. It's a war between Valve and the cheat developers. So the less Valve says, the less information the cheat developers have to their advantage. There's a fog of war that has to be maintained. So we know for a fact that Valve are behind the scenes working on this issue. It seems to be a top priority. But we as the players are kept in the dark in terms of when we can actually see those changes come to fruition. So today I want to talk about the battle to stop cheating, what we can do to make Counter-Strike better, the structural issues with competitive as a whole, and how we can make CS2 the best game it can be. But before we get too much further, make sure you guys take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm, and with my goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers as fast as possible. We're really close, so every sub counts. Thank you guys for that. And also while you're down there, consider becoming a channel member. For $5 a month, you can support what I do here directly, gain access to exclusive emblems, emotes, a shout out in every video, as well as more features coming soon. And lastly, check me out on my Twitch channel, linked in the description down below. I stream Sunday through Friday, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And let's get into the commentary. So firstly, I want to take a structural approach to how we handle cheating in the gaming industry. I want to try and give you guys the most logical top-down view of what Valve might be doing to address this issue, because let's be honest, this is an emotional problem. We all experience the pain of cheaters every single day. It ruins our games, it makes the games less fun, it makes us less willing to play the game. So when we talk about cheating, oftentimes we just talk about that aspect, how it's ruining the final product. We don't give much time or credence to what Valve might be doing or the struggles that they face to combat this problem every single day. Now, coming at this from the perspective of somebody who's been really engaged in other communities, mainly Destiny 2, which has had its own pervasive cheating problem for many years, and also as just someone who's done a lot of research on the topic, as someone who's very much a layman. I'm not a computer science expert, I'm not a computer security expert. I'm merely trying to give my perspective based on what I've seen from the outside looking in. So the biggest issue with solving the cheating problem is that it's an information battle. The more you give up as the game developer is the more advantage you give to someone who's trying to develop cheats. Vulnerabilities are always going to exist to some extent. We have to accept that there's going to be some amount of cheating no matter what, as a fact of how multiplayer gaming just works. As long as the game exists and is played, people are going to try and find vulnerabilities. The devs then have to balance the amount of info that's available about their anti-cheat software, what vulnerabilities might exist that they know of or don't know of, and what they are doing behind the scenes to combat that. If stuff gets leaked, or the cheat developer finds out that someone's paying attention, or if one stray account gets banned too soon, suddenly the cheat developer has time to leave, to get rid of their website, redevelop the cheat, or just take it offline so it can't be hit with like a cease and desist. So Valve is incentivized to say as little as possible at any given point about the state of cheating. If they're targeting a cheat developer that say has like 500,000 active monthly users, they're going to wait till they have a solve for that cheat that they can implement in one go, ban all the cheaters, and make that cheat unusable so the cheat developer has to go back and redevelop something new or disappear. And that's why most companies operate in terms of banned waves. You don't see individual accounts just getting hit here or there. They wait till they can round up a large majority of cheaters and then wipe them out all at once to reset the cheat developers back to square one. The problem with that, of course, is that as the regular player, we have to deal with the pervasiveness of cheaters for that amount of time until the ban wave happens. So the sense of frustration can build really easily. We're seeing the same cheaters or the same type of cheats over and over again, and to us, Valve has said nothing, but we don't see behind closed doors. We don't see what they're doing. Thanks to some statements by Moses and Sponge on their Talking Counter podcast after the major, we do know that at least one Valve employee has signaled to them that anti-cheat is at the forefront of their concerns. It's the biggest thing they're working on. Obviously, we have to take that with a grain of salt. That's not an official statement from Valve. It's hearsay from two people who are obviously very well trusted within the scene, but it's not anything official, right? And based on other scattered reporting, it seems that Valve are taking the approach of either working on a brand new anti-cheat or a massive overhaul to how VAC works right now. They're not so much worried about taking out a whole bunch of cheaters month to month. They seem to be working on a whole new system that will make taking out cheaters in the future much easier. When will we get that? Who knows? It doesn't help in the immediate, and that's led to this frustration continuing to build up. And all of that's culminated in the sentiment that people are starting to leave competitive, leave Premier. They feel like they are not getting the experience that they would want out of that playlist, so they're stopping playing. And at that point, what are you going to do? You want the competitive experience, you can't get it out of the Valve servers, so where do you go? For many of us, the only thing left is to go play a third-party service like FACEIT. But even then, as we'll get to in a little bit, FACEIT certainly isn't free of its own issues and drawbacks. But even within the cheating problem in competitive and Premier, I think there are more issues with those playlists that contribute just as much to the ongoing pains, in my opinion. Starting off with the competitive playlist, I think competitive is an absolute dumpster fire. Right now, there are so many issues with that playlist that cheating is at the very back of my mind and things that Valve should be working on. Because right now, competitive doesn't even function as something that's worthwhile playing at the very face of it. When you load up competitive, you are faced with 9 maps to choose from. If you want to get ranked on all 9 maps, you need to win 10 games on 9 maps. Now let's assume for the sake of argument that you are a perfect 50% player. For every game you win, you lose one. You are 50% win rate all the way down. If you want to get ranked on all 9 maps, you would have to play a minimum of 180 games. Let that sink in for a second. I'm just going to hold. I'm going to let you percolate on that number. 180 games if you were a perfect 50% win rate player. Now listen, I don't know about you guys, I'm not a perfect 50% win rate player. So it's probably going to be on average a lot more. Let's bring that down, right? Let's say you just want to play the active duty maps, the maps in Premier. That's 6 maps, 120 games, 50% win rate. This all leads into the biggest issue with competitive specifically, and that's rank congestion. You guys might remember some reporting going viral about 3 months ago about there being no global elites in CS2. Well, as far as I've been able to tell, just kind of doing some more research now, I don't think much has changed. There might be a few global elites, but there's definitely nowhere near the amount of players distributed to the race they should be as compared to CSGO, and that should be pretty fucking obvious, because if you're ranked per map, players are playing less maps, they're playing less games, which means they're not actually getting to their true rank. A ranking system usually puts you lower than you were expected to start, and then allows you to distribute out to proper skill bands, which means the vast majority of fucking players are stuck anywhere between silver and gold nova. So that means when you play competitive right now, the swing in quality of teammates and enemies is goddamn amazing. You run the full spectrum from people who just fucking installed the game to FACEIT level 10 gods on their main account, not even having to smurf to get smurf lobbies. The state of competitive is atrocious. The individual map ranking system is atrocious. I don't even give a fuck about cheaters. The state of playing competitive fucking sucks. Why would you do it? And then you go over to fucking Premier because you think, okay, Premier clearly is the place you're supposed to go. It's the seasonal ladder. There's been more effort put into it. It's supposed to be the place where you can prove your skill. Wrong. Think fucking again. Oh, I'm gonna pull up Blaze and Premier with the boys. Oh, I sure hope I can get some rank tonight. Oh, wait, if I lose this game, I lose 400 points. If I win, I gain 120. Wow, amazing. I gain 1/3 for winning as opposed to losing, meaning that I have to win 3.5, 4 games for every 1 loss to actually progress my fucking rank. And then people wonder why there's so many goddamn motherfucking cheaters. Because the only way to actually climb ranks in this fucking game is to make sure you win no matter what. Or run 5 deep with the boys. And guess what? I don't have 5 absolute gamers behind me to carry through Premiere. And neither do you. So now we're stuck with a shit system where I'm forced to go play Face It if I want anything close to a competitive experience. And boy, let me get real close for this. I don't know if you guys know this, but Face It is really toxic, even at low levels. When I say the amount of peanut-brained, sub-40 IQ, absolute troglodytes I have to deal with when I queue up Face It, it's unreal. You can't go 2 matches in North American Face It without someone being racist, homophobic, toxic, all 3. It's incredible. Not to mention, if you're someone who lives in California or on the East Coast, on average, you're dealing with 50 ping. I don't know if you guys ever played 50 ping in CS2, but it causes a noticeable amount of interpolation, which means I stay dying around corners every single Face It game, something that does not happen in Premiere when I have 10 ping. So that's the current state of competitive CS2. You play the competitive playlist, you're never going to get a rank you want. It's going to take forever to get ranked on all the maps you want. I've been playing competitive every other night, more or less, for like the last 4 months. And guess what? I'm still not ranked on Ancient or Anubis. And I actively queue them every time I play competitive. So competitive is trash. You go play Premiere, and Premiere just doesn't respect your time because of the varying amounts of points you gain on winning or losing, making it really hard to consistently climb. And then if you don't want to play Premiere, you're stuck with Face It, which has genuinely an awful average community, and requires you to run a third-party kernel-level anti-cheat, something that many of us don't really like to do because of the security risks. And that's all before you boot up in the game and you have to deal with cheaters, alright? So let's not put the cart before the horse. There are many problems with the game, including cheating, but some of them are more immediately solvable than others, guys. Let's not get lost in the sauce. Cheating is always going to exist to some extent. It should always be worked on, but let's talk about the structural issues with the game as well. Alright, that's all I got to say on this. I just thought I would get out there, speak my mind about the current state of the game, as I'm quite frustrated too, just as many of you are as well. I'll get back to more positive, uplifting content in the future. Just had to get this one off my chest. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. If you're just going to leave a comment about how cheating is absolutely the worst and you have cheaters in every single game, I really don't care to hear you explain how that guy who shot you definitely looked at you through the walls, because you went back and watched the demo and saw his crosshair occasionally glance over you, which means he's definitely walling. I really don't have time to deal with that. Anyways, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get ready to stream later tonight. You guys have a great night. Peace.